traditional St. George's in the farming community of Willis. Evans Gooding is president of the St. George's Northeast Farmers Organization.
Marip came on the scene a couple of years ago, and Marip should, what they do, they go into the community and look at certain communities and decide to empower that community, helping them. One area is they intend to help this community with access road to the farm. And I know they have identified 2 roads within the area that they're going to do to give farmers access to the farm. Here in Granton, and there's another one going up to the Annandale, Mango, Annandale area. From what the coordinator within Marip has told us, that they should be starting this road shortly.
Well, what we're trying to do is employ as much people from the area as possible. We're looking at a 15-man team. That's including the truck drivers, checkers, and or surveyor and stuff like that.
The construction of the 2 farm roads is expected to be a boost since Willis makes strong claims of being a food basket community.
If you can get produce from nowhere in Grenada, you could actually come in here and get food. Whether it's the vegetable, whether it's the root crop, or whether it's the things from the trees. This area is really noted for that, as a farming community.
Farmers in the area are eagerly anticipating the construction of the new roads.
It's going to be a good hill for the farmers, and even the youths coming up, they go do a lot of more farming.
If they do the road, then maybe we could get transportation to go up the take up a load, so it'll be easier for access for everybody.
The work that is beginning to take off on the Marip is as a result of a new focus by the present administration. In the 2014 budget presentation, Prime Minister Mitchell announced that $4.25 million has been allocated for this project to create jobs in the rural communities.
When we came into office, this Marip project was in pre-cancellation status. We have rescued this project because we are committed to ensuring that this money is spent on the rural communities where people need the help most. Under the Revamp project, we'll provide certified training to young people in rural communities so that they can obtain jobs and compete anywhere in the region.
The bulk of the money is going to be spent in rural communities with people, providing opportunities for them to go into business, the training, the development with young people in particular. Marip is going to work with them. We're going to have business development officers on the ground, within the community, working with them to help them go into their own business.
The goal of Marip is to contribute to the reduction of poverty and vulnerability of young unemployed or self-employed men and women in 50 rural communities in Grenada for a duration of 6 years.
This is the Grenadian reality. This is our current state of affairs. When it comes to doing tourism business, Grenada is determined for a different result, a better result. And to get that, it has moved to doing the business of tourism differently. And that is where the new Grenada Tourism Authority comes in. Well, also coming in here this week is our reporter, Janelle Grant-Hamlet, who tells us this story from the world's famous Grandance Beach.
This is Grandance Beach, 2 glorious miles of white sand for sunbathing and relaxation, clear glistening waters for swimming, diving and snorkeling. For many, it's a scenic escapade. For others, like Mali Batiste, it's a place of work. And it's been so long. Mali Batiste makes a living with the money he earns from renting chairs to tourists on the world's famous Grandance Beach. Business is good for him on the sand compared to his colleagues inside the vendor's market a few feet away. However, he feels business could be better for everyone if the floating jetty is located closer to the market.
The jetty that belongs to this market, right, according to the engineers, has to be placed, because of the type of jetty it is, right, have to be placed more than 200 yards away from the market. The ships that is coming here are carrying a lot of elderly people who cannot walk so far, right? And when the sun is hot, which is what they're here for, but they cannot handle too much of it. So the faster they can get a seat or a little bit of shade.
Batiste would be among many with a wish list of challenges for the new tourism authority, perhaps throwing challenges at them that do not fall within their realm. On January 2, 2014, the government of Grenada took the bold step to establish the island's very first tourism authority. This is a new body that will market Grenada's tourism plans and will include private sector involvement.
Well, one of the things that we plan to do very immediately is to get back to the fundamental core of what tourism is about.
Meet Rudy Grant, a former Barbadian tourism official and management consultant. Grant is the GTA's Chief Executive Officer, leading the way as Grenada blazes new marketing trails in an old, loyal industry.
Here in Grenada we have a very beautiful natural product. I think, however, that there are a number of things we have to do in order to be able to create the tourism culture that we would want, to ensure that we are able to provide for new investment, for new product offering, and to ensure that the level of our standards are of an international standing. And I think that the Tourism Authority helps us to move in that direction in a much more swift way.
The new Tourism Authority has replaced the Board of Tourism, taking with it several workers rich in experience in the sector. Officials say the arrival of the Tourism Authority represents a paradigm shift in operations as well as in the way the country will be marketed.
The authority has a lot more autonomy than a tourist board would. Tourist boards normally fall directly on the ministries, normally a staff with civil servants, as opposed to tourism authorities, which are usually staffed by industry professionals. So that represents a fundamental difference and a fundamental shift. Because you have a greater level of autonomy, you're able to move a lot more swiftly in dealing with the challenges that you have to deal day to day in terms of the operation of your tourism sector.
The bold move from a Board of Tourism to a Tourism Authority has been welcomed by many a stakeholder. There is great anticipation of a closer working relationship with the private sector to add much needed impetus to the industry.
I think it's a great move, but we have to wait and see what's really going to happen.
The fact is that if we didn't move in that direction soon, we would have lost our tourism sector altogether.
I am buoyed by the new Tourism Authority's entrance into the tourism field, and I just feel that going forward we're going to all benefit in Grenada. In fact, I'm going to be looking to them to help us market.
So we hope that in the authority we will get people who will really give us an ear and act on what we are saying.
Back on Grandin Speech, the chair vendor is disappointed that he and his fellow vendors have not been getting support in their efforts to market their area of the sector. He's hoping this will change when operations at the new Tourism Authority moves into high gear.
You look at where we are, on Grandin Beach, and we had the Board of Tourism for 17 years, and nobody has ever come up with such an idea. Nobody see that the people here could do something more.
Already, goals have been set for the first year in operations of the authority as a fresh and vibrant marketing plan is unveiled. And to ensure these goals are achieved, professionals are on board specialized in skill sets ranging from e-commerce to marketing.
So marketing goals for 2014, as I said, one is to get representation in the markets established. Two is to, we've developed a new brand, so we have to roll that out in terms of collateral and what we take with us to the various places that we go. Three, we want to see some traction in some of these markets that we were already established in, so we're going to be visiting and going to some of the trade and travel shows to make sure that Grenada is back in the rotation of everybody's minds. The brand is only something on paper. We actually have to live the brand so that when people come here, they have that pure experience that we're going out to promote.
Determined to give you a clearer picture, this is State of Affairs. And finally, it's time for rebuttal. Every week, right here, we seek to debunk a myth or to update on a reality. This week, the myth about government payments to the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal, and then the reality. First, the myth. You might have seen the chatter online, or even heard it on some of the call-in shows. It is an opposition-inspired peddled myth that a recent court decision to postpone a sitting of Grenada was because of the refusal of the current government to make financial contributions to the court, as if that was a problem of this last year. The reality is that the government of Grenada has owed the court millions for a few years now, arrears built up from 2008. In getting down to the facts, Attorney General Cajetan Hood said Grenada owes the regional court $3.3 million dating back to 2011, when the last payment was made.
I am unable to say exactly what percentage is arrears, but if you look at it proportionally, I believe that there were arrears due since in the year 2011. The contributions are calculated on an annual basis. So if it happens that you do not pay your yearly contribution, then it backs up into an arrears. As I said, I can't tell you exactly what the yearly contribution is, but the 3.3 million would take arrears which existed in 2011 and arrears that would have accumulated up to date. And of the 3.3, I know that having spoken to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, that they were in the process of having a significant sum paid, somewhere around 1/3 of it.
You heard it there from Attorney General Cajetan Hood, clearing up the cheap shot at an expensive reality. The current government has begun making payments to the regional court, as it has done to many other regional institutions, to which Grenada has owed millions over the past 6 years. And that's our picture this week from the home front. This is the current state of affairs. As we speak, our reporters and producers are gathering more stories from across Grenada, and we will be back here next week to tell them. I am Tahira Natalie Carter.